I think that's working. There it is.
It gets worse this sign on, doesn't it?
Good evening and welcome to the Plastic Crap podcast. With me, Ken, Miniature Wargaming Warriors, out in the wild, as you do. Below me is Son and Ste. Well, actually, I'm not streaming on mine, so over to my right is Dom, Game of Dom Boots on the table, and to my diagonal is T from 1.HQ. Evening, gentlemen, and everyone here on the channel.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Can you hear Ken?
Originally, I've been some shit in their comments.
Do you know what? It's great that Ken's doing care in the community and is out and about. It's really nice that he's joining us on the stream tonight. Really good of you, mate. Well done.
Yeah.
It is very, very good.
Evening all.
Hello.
I got no fans. Hate me. Oh.
Bloody hell, that was a big lorry that went past you then. Oh my god, this is going to be chaos. I can feel it. Evening, Peter, Leslie, Battle Knights, Graham. Hiya, guys. How you doing? Welcome aboard
Leslie,
the Madhouse. Yeah. No idea what's going to happen tonight with Ken sitting in a van, but we'll see.
Welcome aboard the Trooper Express.
I mean, Douglas is here. He says, I think it's impressive that we've been on for like 30 seconds and we've already got a dislike. I think that's good.
Yeah,
it's just the quality we strive for on this stream, isn't it?
I know. It's the
dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that dedication.
It's just we're
Forget. Sometimes. But yeah, let's start getting up for it tonight. Right, so okay, I'm going to be like hosting because I've literally got no hobby stuff to do. I haven't done any hobby all week, so that's me out of the way, straight off the bat. So let's start with you, Dom. What have you been up to then, mate?
Do you know what? Even for me, I've been incredibly productive this week in terms of figures. And I thought I wouldn't be, but I've done loads.
You back?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I went delving into the. Well, no. So I looked at the November Wargamers Anonymous challenge, which is to do basically core troops. And so I thought, I'll crack on with that. And so I've knocked out one Portuguese battalion already before it's even got to November. So I thought that doesn't really count, does it? So I'm going to have to. So I've started on I had, and I'd forgotten I'd got it. Well, I didn't forget I got it, but I just wasn't sure where I'd put it. Last Christmas, I was bought a whole load of Spanish 18, I think they're 1812, 1813 figures from our friends at Offensive Miniatures. They're beautiful, beautiful figures.
Yeah.
And I thought regular troops, these are line troops. So I decided I'd start painting those, and I'm really, really enjoying them because they're just the dark blue jackets with light blue trousers. That same light blue that I've been using with the Cleve Berg, and it's just kind of like great. I really enjoy doing them. So I'll do that. So I think for the anonymous challenge, I'll do in the end 2 battalions of Portuguese and 1 battalion of Spanish, plus assorted other things. So yeah, it's been good. Been good so far.
No, that's cool. You got any ideas for like cannon? You're going to do some cannon, or you really got Portuguese cannon? Or
I got 1 Portuguese cannon. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with cannons for that because part of the thing was I've got a load of Portuguese that I use for sharp practice. And I found I was surfing one afternoon, bored out of my mind when I should have been working, and I was on eBay and somebody was selling. I think he sold 32 Warlord plastic Portuguese troops, all made up and assembled, nicely put together, no paint on or anything else. And I got them for like 15 quid for 32 of them. So I thought that's pretty good going. So all I had to do. I
all the time. I can never find it.
Do you know? I just sit there and there's some I win, some I don't, and then so if they're that cheap, I then just bought a couple of packs of Perry officers to go with them because they had no commands with them. So I bought enough basically to make 2 complete 24-man battalions, which cost me, I don't know, less than one of the boxes will cost me normally. So,
that's pretty good.
So that's what I've been doing. So yeah, I can't remember something else I picked up the other day, and I thought, oh, that's a really good deal as well. Oh, I got some Urukai. There you go. Urukai. That was about 30 of them for about 15 quid or something. I thought that wasn't bad. So yeah, all good.
Oh, so you've had a good week then. That's good. What about what did you mind?
What have I done? I finished off everything I could for Ancients October, which was one base short of what I wanted to get done, but you know, I had work kicked off, so I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases worth of stuff done in 30 days, 31 days, including 2 elephants, which you know I'm pleased about. So you know that was good. We were planning on having I had more games planned this week and last week, but because of some stuff that happened last week, I couldn't have them. And because of Saturday's announcement, I had to spend all yesterday trying to work out what we're going to do. So yesterday's game got canned as well. And then all the planned, I had 4 games planned for November against various people, including yourselves. So that's gone down the toilet. So at the moment, what have I been doing? No, I was finishing off my Carthaginians, and I'm having a bit of a palette cleanser. I'm doing some terrain. I'm doing this tonight, so I've got a big old piece of stuff to do, and then I've got a Lord of the Rings mini that I'm working on as well. So, and then I've got English Civil War, some Napoleonics. I've stuck together a bunch of French that I'll try and knock out quickly, because I can't have you doing more battalions than me. And
I was wondering whether for that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've got 13. I don't think you're near 13 yet, but I didn't like it that you were getting close to that, so I thought I better knock some out and reinforce them.
Now I know how many you got. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to bring them up and I'm going to go, look at my toys, Martin. Look at all my toys. Have a massive game.
You're not, because again, who's that behind you, Ken?
Yeah. Oh my God! Don't look now. Love it. That's never going to die. That tonight, you know that. until we do it, and then there is somebody there, and he won't turn around. That'll be funny.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just hear.
He's like, there's a policeman outside your window. What's going on?
Yeah. Exactly. But no, that's good though, man. You did really well, to be honest with you. You've got a lot done. Plus, you were doing videos to go with it as well.
To be fair, I was pleased with what I got done. I was planning on doing some like rules videos, but I'm going to do those separately for Impetus, because I'd rather sort of take my time on those. And I was going to do some sort of as I learn it kind of videos, rather than this is how you play. I'm going to do sort of this is as so mistakes I make, people can see as well. So although because I need to get some opponents to play, not as in people, as in like an opposing army. So of course I was looking at the Romans, but someone else pointed out, I can't remember who it was now, they might be watching the stream tonight, but they said, because I plan on putting Gaulish allies in with both the Romans and the Carthaginians, why don't I just get those, because they can then fight against the Carthaginians anyway, and then I can just use, and then just fill it out later on. So yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And sometimes you have to do that, like you say. But yeah, no, it's really good, mate. It's good that you've had a good week. It's like, I haven't got any hobbies physically done, but I've got a lot of like planning and preparation, and like I say, with October for me, I had to stop it a week early because of work. I've literally been at work every day from 8 AM to 11 PM. So I'm going to give myself, when I finish this on the Friday, I'm doing this on Friday, I'll give one more week, because then that takes me up to where it should have been, and see what I can get done in that week, which I'm quite confident I'll probably get, at least one of the guard battalions done, all the captains, if not both. And just go from there, really. If I do it all, I'll be well happy. If I don't, I'll be gutted. It is what it is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, it's still a lot of stuff, isn't it? Like,
A hell of a lot of figures, really. Hell of a lot of figures.
It's really satisfying though when you see them just rolling off the production line, isn't it? There's nothing better than when you just look at them and you think, "Oh, there's another battalion done."
It's amazing when mates out and play with them for the first time and just absolutely have a great game.
Yeah.
I know that video is going to come out soon, Dom. I can't wait to watch that.
I'm trying to find a way to edit it where I did better. Sadly. Do you know, I got accused once of in fact I think it was somebody from my club, but I got accused that I never ever put any games up where I don't win, because it seemed like I went through a phase of just winning every frigging game I played, which wasn't entirely true, but it was slightly true. But since the last lockdown, I think I've lost every single game. I don't think I've won one yet.
I'd never put up any reports if I had to wait till I won. The only ones that would be on there would be, of course, the one against Ken, because of course I won that.
Well, obviously you did. Do you want to mention that one again, Martin? What was the result of that one? Right.
Yes. In fact, I don't know if anyone hasn't watched. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but there's.
Sorry.
But yeah, right, we're getting distracted. We've gone off on a ramble. Steve, what have you been up to, mate?
I've been making bases again for my Stalingrad Germans.
Hey!
I know it's going to be a surprise to everyone that I'm working on bolt action Germans, but what can you do? No, I'm actually really enjoying this. I'm going to be really, really annoyed when this is finished, because I'm having a really great time. In fact, that's what I'm building tonight. I'm building a couple of Stalingrad bases for my Germans. And I also I want to say a massive big thank you to last week I did a video talking about my Napoleonic problem, and loads of people gave me some really helpful advice. So I've made a decision. So Napoleonics are being shelved until next year.
Oh.
And then I'm going to start afresh for sharp practice. I'm going to start again completely from scratch and do everything sharp practice related for my Napoleonics. So yeah, big hobby decision made this week.
I like the way you said that. You said you asked for advice and then you decided to shelve them. It's like, just don't. What was the advice? Just don't start.
No. It's because loads of people said concentrate on sharp practice, because you can knock armies out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You don't need half as much as you do for black powder, for example. Yeah. And it just makes sense for me to concentrate on smaller games like that. So yeah, so quite a few people recommended sharp practice, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So, but that's on hold till next year. So it's going to be bolt action for pretty much the rest of this year, and then in the new year it's going to be new year sharp practice, which should be interesting. Yeah. But apart from that, no, I've been building bases and just generally all things Stalingrad at the moment. So it's been kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, that's cool, Steve. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. I'll tell you what, I'm going to join you in December with bolt action. I think definitely going to go for my bolt action American paratroopers. I want to be a bit more ambitious with the basing instead of just sticking it in Luke ATS bases. But I'm just trying to think of a theme that might be quite good to do with them.
What are you doing, paratroopers?
Yeah. Normandy.
You could do. I mean, if you're doing US Airborne, it could be. 5 of us that are doing US Airborne. It's always been late war, so D-Day onwards. So you could do them in sort of the night before D-Day. You could do the drops. You'd have rural basing. You could have them market garden. There's quite a few basing opportunities there.
Are you doing Battle of the Bulge, or are there winter-specific airborne models?
Yeah, there's winter-specific ones. So I was thinking about because obviously, have you tried that resin yet, Mike?
No, because I don't. I thought I had a UV light, but I don't. So I'm going to go get. That's next one.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I'm thinking about maybe doing some of it, because some of them landed in like swampy sort of area, wasn't it? And water over, flooding.
Swamp would be cool, yeah.
Well, that'd be a challenge.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
It's something a bit different. I always love your basing. I do love your basing. It's like my Napoleonics in a minute. It's got that Luke ATS tip, but I need to you know, I think once I've painted the rest of these guys with cannon and all that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there afterwards and try and just make them a bit more character. Just add some tucks in, maybe some bushes, and try and make it become more alive.
Yeah.
Leslie just made the point. Okay.
What's that?
I was just saying, Leslie made a good point that if you did them as marshes, you'd only have to paint the top half of the figures, which is kind of cool idea.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's an advantage. Just cut them in half, stick them down.
True.
It's I always fancy doing an airborne one, sort of from sort of the paradrops at D-Day. Sort of, which was the one? Was it Mare l'Eglise or whatever it was, where they all dropped on the town? And yeah, and having all sort of cobblestone kind of bases, that sort of thing would be kind of cool. Quite fancy doing that.
That Mare l'Eglise was the 101st, wasn't it?
Was it the 101st? I don't know. I've been past it many times.
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
I think San Mare l'Eglise was the 82nd. Current Sam was the 101st. I think this is very wrong. I thought San Mare l'Eglise was the 101st. History buff. What was what? San Mare l'Eglise, 101st, 82nd.
Yeah, somebody will know.
Kovac Truth has just said, "What's the base or unit size for sharp practice?" I don't really know because I've
regular groups. So groups of line troops and grenadiers and that sort of thing are 8s. Skirmishers are 6s. Basically, you form groups into formations. So, like, you could have 3 groups of line troops as a formation. So that would be 8, 16, 24. Which is why it's quite easy to do them. You do them in 8s, then you've got one group done, and then you move on to another group. You got the next one. Try like doing.
The same as,
Carry on.
So I was going to say, sorry. That's the same as Dux. I didn't realise that. It's the same as Dux Britanniarum, the Dark Age one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have them in 6s and 8s, and then you can form them into larger.
Precisely.
Sort of
Which
bands.
is actually quite good as well, because black powder being 24s, if you do 3 groups of 8 for sharp practice, that becomes your battalion of 24 for black powder as well. Although obviously basing's slightly different size.
Here's an interesting one for you. I think it'd look quite cool because I've seen a few people do it. You know, like our 24-man line battalions you get for black powder. Would you ever consider putting like casualty figures in the rank?
Yeah, I do sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, there's a couple of times where I've lost models, so I've put a casualty figure there. And then there's other times where you just get, if you can model them right, you can have them sort of like looking like that, and because you've got that model where someone's sort of getting hit in the face like this, and if you put that right there, you can sort of just looking at his mate has just been sort of taken out. It just breaks up the. There's something I'm quite interested in. It just breaks up the lines a little bit and makes it a little bit more visually interesting. Which is what with those Carthaginians I've just done. I've tried to not keep the ranks dead straight. I've tried to bend them up a little bit and sort of move them around.
Yeah, isn't it frustrating when you realise all this stuff when you're halfway through a project? It's
but that's why you buy more and just do more.
Yeah, they get you, don't they? They get you.
They do indeed.
That's what overtime money's for, Ken.
Yeah, it's great. Tell you what, I am looking forward to doing the Second World War stuff again. I definitely am. I think I'll paint it up well quicker than what I'm used to, especially after doing all these crossbelts and Napoleonic. Oh, crossbelts.
So I nearly dropped all my Napoleonics the other day, or last night. I was watching on Amazon Prime one of these foreign language war films you can get on there. There's some brilliant stuff on there, isn't there? There was one of the Latvians, it was an SS group of Latvian troops fighting in the last few days of the war on the Eastern Front against a Russian group of Latvians, and it was an amazing film, really, really good film. You know, classic, one of those sort of propaganda-y films that they have up there on Amazon Prime. But I thought afterwards, I'd really like to get onto some Second World War and do one of those weird, you know, national units within that. So maybe I'll do that next. Really good film.
That does sound really quite interesting.
I'll try and find the link and send it to you, Steve, because I thought of you when I was watching it. Yeah, and they're all pointing out to me. I didn't mention Sharp Practice. Militia have 10s, so there you go. Because I love Militia so much, and that they are actually overpowered in Sharp Practice, to be absolutely honest. And my mate Graham's on here, who's a great advocate of using Death Stars and Militia, because they are so overpriced for what they do. Anyway, there you go.
No, that's it. Did you guys want to catch up with your chat?
So somebody put a question in here, which I'm just going to scoot back to, because it was a really good one, and it made me think there's loads and loads of chat going on, but I'll try and find it again. I think it was GP. He said he's just been rebasing some of his pike and shot, and he took the opportunity to cut about 2 centimetres off the pike shaft. And he said, does anybody else do non-historical tweaks to make their gaming easier? I assume he did it so it makes transportation and not stabbing yourself easier, but anybody sort of fiddle around just, you know, like, I'm not going to have that tank based anymore because it won't fit in the box kind of thing, or, you know, what do you do? Anything like that?
It's 20. It's not even 8:30 yet, and we're on to based vehicles. That's an early start. It really is.
Love it.
I think I'd probably say for as a predominantly World War II gamer, there's not many sort of shortcuts I can take. I just base them how I want, and I equip them with how I want. I think for a lot of the periods that you guys play, it might be a bit more predominant, but for me, no, it's nothing really I tend to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have a tendency for my War of the Roses stuff. I get, you've probably seen, and Ken probably seen, you get the long fishtail banners, the really long ones. Now, historically, those are probably only used on horseback because the weight of the flag would probably pull the guy over if he's got it on foot.
Yeah.
But because I don't necessarily always want to chuck a horse, I have separate ones on there. I'll do them on foot, and also it transports easier because it's not, out the top of my
I think it's things. It is things like spears and standards that the things you most often sort of, you know, take shortcuts with. Isn't it, really, because I mean, in some ways, your Carthaginians, you did a bit of a shortcut because you sort of, the way you had them based up as a sort of, you know, instead of having individual blocks, you had them as a mass, didn't you, with a sort of wavy line. I don't know whether it's a shortcut. Yeah. I mean, it looked really effective. Don't get me wrong. It really did. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, I think just after doing so many Napoleonics even the Wars of the Roses, when I was working on those small bases, I thought, I've got this huge base now. I've got the opportunity to just be a little bit more creative.
Yeah.
Like, and the line, you know, there's no what, you know, people talk about line discipline and marching, and you know, there's no way in the snow and in the ancient that they kept a perfectly formed rank. I don't care what they say; they didn't keep it. You know, you know, I know I'm probably going to get shot now, but you know, but I just felt it's a little bit more visually interesting. I was thinking with the Romans when I do them of having a couple of breaks in the line as well, a bit like with Ken said, with like casualties, or if some cavalry have just gone through and you just got a bit of, you know, movement. That's all. So yeah, I suppose that's something I do. I don't know if I do that to necessarily. I did it to keep things interesting. Really, that was.
Yeah. I like the effects. I thought it looked really good. But those big bases you've done, I mean, they're so enormous. I mean, that's just a. I couldn't get my head around that idea, but it does look good.
These ones. So what are they? I can't remember now. They're 7 centimeters by 12 centimeters.
They're bloody massive.
Yeah.
I do like that base size though. That I would say that I love basing. So if I could have bases, you know, 4 foot long, I probably would. But
I don't think I'd do it for another period. But I felt for ancients, it was a little bit more appropriate.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wouldn't do it for Napoleonics or anything, or even Wars of the Roses. But for these, because it's predominantly blocks of infantry, And the measurements of the game in Impetus are done in base widths. So you don't have, say, say 12-inch range. You basically do whatever convention you use, whether it's 15 mil or 6 mil, whatever your base width is from here to here. So in my case, 12 centimeters. A unit might move 2 base widths. So in that case, my unit would move. So you've got to make your own little measuring. Really, you could just use a tape measure, but I'd make my own little sticks for movement. So yeah, it's completely scalable. But yeah, it's just something to be a bit more interesting than as usual. It'll be all right. When I go back to doing my Napoleonics, I'll be back to just ranking them up like this.
But you know, you said that about Napoleonics, but it occurred to me watching that you could do, well, like a British line battalion is not allowed to form column in black powder, so you could form it up as a 12x2 line and just have it pre-formed like that, couldn't you?
You could. I mean, it can form a march column. But
that's true, but then you just have to turn it that way around. But yeah,
or just chuck a counter. Like you could just make a token that just says column. You know, that's the only thing. Yeah, certainly on the smaller scales as well. I was thinking about doing I don't know why, but I was thinking about like 15 mil, say ACW or something like that, but doing it on a base that big and just having like a whole battalion and skirmishers out in front.
Yeah. Exactly.
And all of that on a massive base.
Yeah.
I think that would look really cool.
That would look cool, actually, yeah.
That would look very cool in 6 mil. I was thinking about, like, here's another one for you, right? Okay, we always base up our French in two 12-man But the French, they use 3 lines a lot when they form lines, didn't they?
They did.
3 or 4 lines deep, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, they were. Their line was 3 men deep, as opposed to the British, which was 2.
Only the British they were 3-man line. Why don't we follow that sort of thing? Why do you think it is we don't do another 12 men for a French to form another line? Do you reckon it's just base etiquette?
Well, obviously I don't do French, so I can't really comment too much on it. But I do know that
the Napoleonic.
You know those Bruce Quarry rules that I was talking about last week? They, the really old ones, they used to do that. So basically, I can't even remember the measurements, but say a British infantry were formed 2 deep line, their width would be a certain width to accommodate that. But then the French would always be on a much more narrow base to represent the fact they had more depth to them, and that consequently had an impact on their shooting ability. And so I don't, somebody in chat probably tell me, but I can't remember. Yeah, I think they try and symbolise it with the shooting factors. That's purely how they do it nowadays. I think it fell out of favour. Some of the very early rules did definitely have French, Prussians, Russians all in 3-man or 3 width lines. Or 3 depth lines, sorry.
Yeah, but more like strict the rules, more historically accurate would be like that.
Yeah, I think it's just become, because a block of troops represents 800 men or what have you, it's almost inconsequential really how they're formed up. And I think that's one of the things that's sort of gone by the board. I don't know whether there's any rule sets that still do it, but it certainly was a thing years ago. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, I think, I don't know, visually it'd be interesting, but if it doesn't add anything particularly to the game mechanic, I probably wouldn't bother. Not when I've already taken that much time to do do it in 2s.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking more like to do like my 6 mil. I want to get 6 mil Napoleonic. And you know, like you get a 24-man square 60 by 30 block, yeah. When I was thinking one of them, because normally they represent a battalion, I was thinking about each one of them maybe representing a company. Just doing it so you've got more figures per battalion, for example, over a wider distance. Thinking about doing it like that instead of doing 24-man. Just scaling it down to smaller scale. So I was thinking about getting more figures on the table per battalion. Just so when you do have a big battle, it's a lot of figures, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Matchlock Studio says hello, and hello. Where can you find info for the Wargamers Anonymous November challenge? If you go to the Wargamers Anonymous YouTube channel, there's a link to the Wargamers Anonymous Discord, and it's all on there. So have a look at for Phil's channel, and then there's a link. You join that, and then there's the Discord server, and then there's all the different categories in there, and then there's one just devoted to the monthly challenge and the vote. Which is gone through. Miller's here. He says hello, and the Epic Joey. He said he's happy because he's just joined and we're talking about Napoleonic lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all about.
Got modelling for advantages here as well. Hiya, mate.
Brilliant.
Hi, guys.
Oh, what else? Boney's Miniatures here as well. I've mentioned Graham as well. People talking about Jason at Battle Knights was saying, has anybody played oh, we've lost Martin again. Has anybody played, oh god, where is it? Chosen Men, which I think is the same group of rules that Line Rampant and those things. It's the Osprey set of rules. I played them once. Oh, he's back.
It's going to be one of those nights. I'm actually go 2 weeks without having any problems.
He's back. He's
there,
back.
Mine.
He's there. Yeah, so I thought
He
he can't hear us, I don't think, but we can hear him.
Hello.
Hello. He's back again.
I was just saying, I managed to go 2 weeks. 2 weeks without having any kind of issues.
I reckon...
you're in and out, yeah?
Yeah, it was all going to get sorted in like about a week's time, but things might have changed slightly. So
They should be able to... Oh, yeah. No, they can still come in your house, mate. 100%. They're still doing it in my phone.
Yeah, still workmen can come in.
You just can't be self-isolating. Being different. Yeah.
Oh, I'm hating doing all the free basing.
I'll tell you what though, it's time to start, you know, for me it's going to be time to start watching Gettysburg again, the extended edition.
It's about 4 hours long, isn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah, I can't wait. We'll watch it back to back.
What, with what, Gods and Generals?
Yeah, I love that film. Great film. That, and I'm going to watch
Fury.
Anderson film after, just any sort of like Civil War film. Not Patriot, about, what's it called? It's going to come to me in a minute. Lincoln, another one. Yeah, I'm just going to stick them on while I'm doing my 6 meals. I can't wait. Get my lollipop sticks out. Oh, it's going to be so good. I'll tell you what though, Steve, I need some advice from the Grand Master of basing.
The Grand Master of basing.
What do you say is a really good way to like spice bases up? So like obviously I do a lot of graphs and I field. How can I make them a bit more visually interesting?
Fine white product from Precision.
Do you know what? This is the weirdest thing. We've got Steve's obsessed with bases. Martin's obsessed with snow. Ken's just in a van somewhere. Sorry, Steve, I cut you off.
No, I was going to say I've rarely done any kind of really rural sort of field-based basing. My favourite basing is urban. I absolutely love doing urban basing with rocks and ruined buildings.
Yeah.
I honestly think with basing sometimes less is absolutely more. So even just a couple of tufts or little bushes, or you've got your leaf maker as well. I think that just goes a long way. I think I've seen some basing where people have tried to cram in far too much onto a 28mm base, and it's just it's overpowering. You don't look at the miniature, you're looking at the base rather than the actual figure.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's that striking that happy balance of the base complementing the figure and vice versa. Those SAS that I did earlier this year, they were so easy to make with those cork bases, but they were quite basic. It was just cork and grit, but they worked really well with the color scheme on the SAS uniforms. So, my top thing would always be less is more. I think that goes a long way to make it a really, really good base.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking kind of like stretch the battalions, so like you've got that stretched line, maybe interlink them so they all fit together, sort of thing. I was thinking about maybe doing a bit of undulation, a bit of uneven ground, and then doing the bases completely. Stick the guys on after it, and just putting a bit of cloth around their feet or whatever it is that where they're sat in place. I didn't know whether to do a base separately and then put the guys on it.
Well, I mean, the other week when I based that single base of British infantry, it's the very, very first time I've used that, which is Vallejo Thick Mud. I've only ever used that as a sort of an accessory onto tank tracks and vehicles, no splashes. I actually use it as a basing material. So when it was still wet on the base, I just pressed in static grass into the mud, and it gave the effect of a really, really muddy field. I was very happy with how it turned out. In fact, I'll be using that again as a basing material. It really did work well.
That's what I do for my Napoleonics, because I based them on the Battle of Waterloo, and it was a quagmire. I just used that thick, this stuff. Yeah, this stuff here. Is that the one you're using? That one there, yeah? Yeah,
mine's a smaller pot though, but it works. It's so realistic looking, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's quite good because they chuck all these little bits of vegetation in there, and like that just looks quality.
Yeah.
Grass. Put that on over your static grass.
I do. I put my static grass on, but it depends what I'm going for. Because if you slop it over it, it looks like clods of earth that have been turned over. So if you want to do a good way, so I do cannonballs that have gone into the ground, and all I do is I get the end of a paintbrush like this, slap it around there, and then I just roll it, and you end up with like a furrow with that going, and then you've got the static grass each side. But you could do either, to be fair.
Yeah, well, that's the very first time I've done it, and I just put it all on. So what I wanted was like a kind of a really, really muddy where the grass has been basically walked away. So there was just the odd sort of outcropping of static grass. And when it all dried, it looked, you get splashed all over the guy's legs and the boots, and it just looked really, really good. I was really pleased how it turned out.
I don't know how well it's going to come out on here, but there's a Napoleonic sort of base. So all I did was splodge, because on a bigger base it was easier, but I did all the tufts first, because when the mud goes on, I was thinking about how it would actually layer up. So sometimes it's quite good, because when you put the mud on, you'll get bits hanging off of the tufts, where it's been flicked up or people have marched over it.
No, give that a go. So yeah, no, good for that. Steve, appreciate that. Have we promised last week, didn't we, Dom, that we were going to get onto the questions? We missed them out, didn't we?
Yeah.
Have we got some of those questions?
We have indeed. I'll come back to that. Just before we do, Wargamer Spud, hiya mate, how you doing? He said, how about basing with real snow? There you go, but there you go. I think only some parts of the country will that work, mate, when you're outside. Epic Joey's here as well. So, yeah, question from last week was Peter's little question of the week. Sorry, we didn't manage to get around to it, Pete. I know you... he did contact me and said, do I need to give you a new one because you didn't answer last week? I said, no, it's fine. So he said, I've got to find it now. It was, what improvements would you like to carry out to your existing painting areas? And if you could start new, what would you prioritise as an area to hobby in? There we go. Go on, Ken. Go on, you're getting warmed up. I can feel it. Go on.
Organisation, 100% organisation. I've got there pretty well with my paint, so I've got my paint pretty organised, but everything else needs to be organised. I'm a real git for leaving stuff lying about. I'm sure we all are, but I'd love to have a proper paint rack, properly where a paintbrush lives. It stays after I finish with it. Like my basic materials, I'd like to organise that properly so it goes back to the second place. Just need a bit more room than what I've got at the minute, because I've got a lot of space and stuff that I can't keep out because I haven't got any room to get out. And when I do keep it out, I can't divide it up properly, and it's really frustrating that I can't just go, oh yeah, I've got some of those grass up, they're right there, I can pick them up. For me, it'd be organisation 100%. I'd love to be able to do the wall mount or the paint rack. That's what I mean, this is my new house is going to be all about. I can't wait.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt now. I'm going to end my stream because I don't know what's going on with it. So I'm just going to end mine. So if anyone's can't see me, if they go over to Dom's channel, then they'll see it, because mine, I don't know what's going on with mine at all. So I'm very sorry about that. So I'm going to go over to Dom's channel and you'll see it there. So I'm going to end that now.
Yes, I'll get all the subscribers back from him. Yes, my evil plan has worked.
No, I don't know. I have no idea. It's just not happening. I'll probably go and find that Haley's like watching something, or doing something. I don't know. It just didn't want to. Just not playing ball. It's the first time it's ever really done that, but it wouldn't just go any kind of properly smooth playback. So I'll just have to sort it out.
How weird. How weird.
Haley,
I think it's Haley.
How many streams are yours now?
153 now. No, 24.
How many?
24. I did. I was like... Oh dear. Go on then. So what about you, Martin? What about your hobby space?
What was the question? Because I was sorting out my stream.
Basically, if you could improve your hobby space, how would you do it? And if you could start again, what would it look like? If you could draw your perfect, build your perfect hobby space, what would
I would probably have more shelves, more shelving. These walls aren't particularly strong, so I can't like put up extra shelves. I would probably, I don't know, really. I have a proper desk. I kind of sit at a sort of chest of drawers with the with a cupboard bottom, which is open, and I put my legs in.
Yeah.
So I'd probably do that. Probably have a something wall mounted, like a TV, small TV, something up there. And I don't know, probably just more things that I can just put, like I've got a book that I'm going to use for reference at the minute, just here, which I have to kind of balance underneath everything here. So if that goes, all my paint pots are going to get knocked over. So anything, more stuff, things like this that I can just attach stuff to. Yeah, and a better internet connection.
Well, that's a given. Yeah, better internet for you. That's for sure. I don't blame you.
Well, just the connections are, I'll have to suss it out. That's annoyed me.
If only we knew somebody who knew something about broadband in our crew. That would be great, wouldn't it? What about you, Steve? What about you, Steve? What's your perfect scenario? What's your setup?
My desk would be about 4 times bigger than it is, and I'd have shelves all around me. I live in a shoebox, basically. My apartment is just one lot. It's like a shoebox. It's very long, and it's essentially a living room with a kitchen and a bedroom, and that's pretty much it. So space for me is very much at a premium. So my actual hobby space, I built it myself out of bits and pieces that I found. So the top is an old coffee table, and I've got a table there, and I've got some old Argos bookshelves on this side, because I was fed up. I used to paint on a really, really small desk. I had to put away at the end of the day. So I sat down, I just built this out of just crap that I could find lying around all over the place. So it's quite big, it's quite sturdy, but no, I think, because all my hobby supplies over the other side of the room.
Right. So
if I want to go and get, like Ken said, if I want to go and get basing stuff, I've got to go and root through various boxes and stuff over there. Because I like to have a very, very clean and orderly work surface. I'm quite OCD when it comes to stuff like that. So I need tidiness. Otherwise, I can't paint. But for me, it'll be more organisation, more shelves. And I want to get a big World War II framed picture up there as well for some reason.
Yeah,
but
like a Napoleonic sort of thing in the back. Oh yeah.
There's a set of Napoleonic pictures that I really like, which was just called the 200 collection, and it was the same. It was just really clever. So, for example, they had the Battle of La Haye-Sainte, and the picture on the left is the French columns advancing, and the picture on the right is the Germans on the wall shooting at that column. So it's the same battle from two different perspectives. About 300 quid.
Yeah, this is the problem. I'm trying to find like cheap sort of prints that just don't fit. I've been trying to find stuff like that to stick on the walls, and like, I'd love to. Like I say, I just want a little studio, and it's so good. Oh, you bastard!
So I got another one of those Paul Collingwood prints. This is Mercer's battery at the Battle of Waterloo. That's one of the prints he did of that. I've just got to have somewhere to put it, really. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. It's ready to go.
In my living room, when you walk in my living room, the first thing you see is it's a big canvas print, and it's a stormtrooper's helmet. But in the lens, one of the eye lenses, you can see rebel troopers. So it's at the very start of A New Hope when they're breaking into the ship. It's that scene, but it's reflected in this stormtrooper's eye lens. It's so cool.
That's really cool.
Nice.
I echo what you were telling us here about having like another deck and stuff. I'd love to have like a main project deck and then like a side project deck that can be set up and like an interlude. Oh God, yeah, I wish I could do that. That'd be so nice.
Yeah, I'm the same. I would do the same. Given the choice, I'd have because I've mentioned it before, but I'm a nomadic painter. So I don't have a permanent space to paint. I paint on the living room table because my wife gets annoyed if I go off into the garage and paint in there, in the bunker, as Ken christened it. I kind of just have everything out on the living room table, and I am not organised. If you've seen the pictures of my paint station when I'm showing off figures, it is a complete and utter mess. They're everywhere. But I would love to just have the space to be able to put, all my paints in one area and all the basing materials in another and the figures in another and just have it all set up in the right way that I know where everything is rather than having to go rooting through boxes to find it and what have you. And I've always problems. Well, that was one of the reasons. Carry on.
I was gonna say, I know it's not a painting area, but has anyone seen John Stallard from Warlord Games? Anyone seen his gaming room?
I've seen a couple of pictures of the board, and sometimes you get a glimpse of it, don't you?
It's like a 12 by 8 table on there. There's just shelves. There's weapons all over the walls. It's just like the ultimate like bloke's gaming cave. And every time I see it, I'm just supremely jealous of it. Yeah. It looks so good.
That's what I want. Do you see Fraser von Kettering? He's just having an outdoor gaming thing built.
Oh yes.
In his garden, and I'm just so envious of him because if I stayed where we are now, and my master plan is we move at some point and get to somewhere I've got a bit of outside building where I could do exactly that, have a set-up table all the time with a base station where I could paint and video and do all that kind of stuff. But that may be somewhere down the line. But that idea of just having some dedicated space that it's yours to do, you can leave a game set up. Well, that said, my bunker, is still set up from the game I last played in there. So, but it'll probably be there for another month now. But it's not the same because A, it's bloody cold, and B, it's been taken over by my hoarding wife stockpiling toilet rolls. I didn't say that, honestly. We're not stockpiling toilet rolls, honestly. So yeah, it's a challenge, and I am envious of people who have all that space. It's a luxury that not everybody has. I mean, people here saying Miller's saying he doesn't even have a painting space. I have to do it on my lap, and yeah, there's lots of people like that. And I know any space you've got.
We can all dream, though.
Of course we can. Of course we can.
It's like me. I'd love to, like I said, it's like I don't have any kids. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know if it's good. And so the plan is when we move from paying half towards the house, I do want dedicated space for me. And I've even made that part of certain conditions that will be my space. And if I do have children, that's still my space.
Yeah.
That's some forward planning going on right there. It really is.
Yeah.
If I'm walking out for $5,000, I'm having my own dedicated space.
Ken, you say that now, you wait till it really happens. That's what I said about my bunker. That was going to be my gaming space. Over time, you lose control.
Yeah.
Over time.
I'm going to get the sign of disclaimer. That's what I'm going to do. Please.
Yeah, right.
Like, you signed the doc full well. There you go.
Yeah.
But no, seriously.
Rory at Culloden says, good luck with that, Ken. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think this is why I want an outhouse, because then Laura ain't going to want to use that.
Yeah.
Because it's not for sweeties. But the problem is, I want to get the lads to work involved, and I want to get them around and build insulating and heating and all that sort of stuff. So I've got to be very careful of like making it habitable and really nice, but not too habitable, so Laura takes it over.
Yeah.
And that balance, I haven't watched the extremes, she will me.
Oh dear. Yeah, Wayne says the same thing. He said he had a lovely painting wargaming room until my kids came home, thanks to COVID. Yeah, I feel your pain. I was supposed to have just myself here with my wife, but my kids have come back too. Oh dear. Graham says he does have a room, but the wife keeps tidying it. That's a nightmare, isn't it? When they come and tidy things away.
Yeah, my stuff doesn't get tidied. She just puts all of my stuff in here in like a big pile.
Does find nothing. Does find nothing.
She goes, you have a room, so I'll be reading a book, and if I dare to leave a rule book or any kind of book out, it ends up in here. Like, just, bookmark, remove.
Always ends up on my chair. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be like, I've cut yours on, and I bought my case in and just left it at the bottom of the stairs. It's a bit late to pick it up. That ends up on my chair the next day when I come in from work. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. Paint. Pile of paint on the chair. Now, times I've sat on paintbrushes, it's unreal, and gone, where the friggin' hell's the paintbrush gone? Oh, here we go.
We've just started this off. Somebody just asked Martin, what's that winged hussar picture behind you? Where's that from?
They are from Fire and Sword. They came as part of the Kickstarter pledges. That one's from the main rulebook, and that's the front cover from the Swedish supplement. But I think you can I'm pretty sure you can get them through North Star Games. I think you can get them through there.
Oh, really?
Ooh, interesting.
That's a nice picture.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
I do like Wings Hussars. I think they're great.
It's my it wins my award of best front cover for a rulebook. Where is it? There it is. That's my favourite front cover for a rulebook. It's got to be the Winged Hussars, just smashing through whoever. So yeah, that's the one. It's a big chunky rulebook as well, which
is nice. Wow, that's a big book. That is a big book.
I'll tell you what's freaky, right? I did this from the other day. You know when you really dread doing something, like I was thinking about my friends and stuff like that, Napoleonics. I thought, I need cavalry. I need a couple more trips of cavalry. And I thought I bought 2 packs of Hussars, like, because I was looking at them on the Perry. I thought I'd actually bought them. When I woke up in the morning, I thought, oh, right, what have I done overnight? I bought those, because you guys said they are a pain in the arse to paint. They got so much of the piping on, haven't they?
They are.
Yeah.
And I was literally woke up with like cold sweat.
Love it.
I thought oh, it's horrible. I hate that. I couldn't believe I was dreaming about models. Wrong in it. That's wrong.
Beautiful.
Dreaming about going on a Perry website and buying flat metal
It's like all those funny cartoons that people put up with some bloke, you know, with his girlfriend, and you know, she imagines he's looking at other women, and he's not. He's thinking about figures and tanks and models and stuff. It's like it's so sad, really, isn't it? Oh Jesus, what sad gits we are. Jeez.
Can I just say what I'm at the moment? I am applying all-purpose filler to these bases. And it's literally one of the most therapeutic things you can do. I absolutely love doing it. I don't know why, but it's as long as I'm not sucking on me sculpting tool like I normally do with my paintbrush, then I'm going to be in real trouble.
Do you know? Depends if you've got any cavities, mate.
Do you know what, Steve? I'm convinced from these streams, Steve, that you and I are the most completely opposite people we could possibly be. The thought of doing that basing just drives me to distraction. I just could not do it at all.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible.
Oh no, it's for me. It's I look forward to making these bases because it's the initial idea of what I want it to look like, and then finding the bits and pieces and building it and just seeing it grow. These are a lot of fun, but I specifically love applying filler. It's just, there's definitely something very therapeutic about it.
I say nothing. Jeez. Dear, oh dear. Anybody seen anything interesting on the market? Anything new that's come up recently? There's been some interesting releases.
The Athena Games Kickstarter, their War of the Roses Kickstarter went live today.
I got in trouble on that one, Martin. I got in trouble on that one because I looked at them and I thought they're lovely figures, but they don't half look weedy and skinny. And I said so, and people came, and I got I got half people who thought it was rubbish, and they didn't, and then half people who thought I was right. I just think they look really weedy.
Is that on the Facebook page?
Yeah.
The Bill Hooks one. Yeah, there's some nice things on there, and I like that. There's a couple of them in some slightly odd poses. I think they might be cool to scatter and mix in amongst other things. I don't know. I'll have to see how well the campaign does. I don't know. There's some bits in there I like. I've just like some of the longbowmen I think are quite cool. But yeah, there's some of it. There's one or two that I think are in some slightly odd. I think they're a bit gangly.
Yeah, I mean some of the legs look like they've, you know, I don't know. They don't look like they've ever been walking anywhere in their entire lives. They look really thin and pasty. You can imagine they're pasty underneath their leggings. And I just thought they should be much more. You know, if you've ever tried to pull an English longbow, they're pretty tough to pull, and it's an instant workout for anybody trying to do that sort of thing. So bracing one of those, and they're pretty big blokes. Well, I'm sure you found skeletons of medieval soldiers and whatnot, and they tend to be fairly deformed from the amount of heavy duty use they've had.
Heavy robust people.
Yeah, so the idea that they're sort of skinny just seemed a bit weird, really. But you're right, some of them look really nice, really nice.
Yeah, I thought, unfortunately, because of the current situation, I'll also have to see how flush I am by the time the Kickstarter ends to see if I can sort of jump on board and get a few. Because I'd like to get a few. I've got some figures from pretty much every manufacturer who does Wars of the Roses. So I'd like to add some in. They've got a couple of nice little stretch goals, like little diorama kind of things, like a surgeon and a knight who's been armed. So there's some stuff I'd like to sort of add in if I can, but it'll all depend on how things are.
Yeah, understandable.
There's a lot going on now.
What have you seen, Ken?
Well, I've seen quite a few things actually. I've seen people, because obviously the second lockdown's been announced. I've seen a lot of sales going on. I know that it's coming up for Black Friday, so we'll also have a free sale this year. I certainly hope so.
Ooh.
I hope so. I want some pounds.
I've only just got to the bottom of the box I bought last time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I want to keep Italian, so if they're doing like French, they're like a quid a screw or whatever it is, I'll be all over that. Oh man, and it's, yeah, could even get me something like that. You never know.
Speaking of Warlord, somebody posted a picture on the Bolt Action Facebook group of an upcoming release, and I think it's called Island Assault.
Yes,
and it's Marines and Japanese.
Oh,
now,
cool.
Call me initially I was very optimistic because I thought, are we going to see some new plastic sculpts here? But I think it's just going to be the same with the Stalingrad box, where they just put in existing plastic kits with a bit of scenery. But it should be an interesting box just to see what's in it.
Those campaign books are always good. They're a good read, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've got a funny feeling they're going to sell a lot of the old British stuff off in this sale. Obviously, they're doing the new British stuff in January and that, and they want to get rid of these army boxes, I guess. I can't see it there. I'm not being...
Without a hint of hyperbole, I wouldn't accept those miniatures if someone gave them to me for free. In fact, Scarlett Johansson could turn up and give me 4,000 points worth of that British set, and I wouldn't accept it.
Even could have been the bus.
That is not entertaining at all. It's just.
Can't wait.
I wouldn't waste my blue on it.
No.
Well, I sold my British this week. Painted one, sold it.
Have you?
Yeah, they're gone. I kept my airborne, but the army one's gone.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm quite tempted.
I have to dig mine now.
Sorry.
I have to dig my British out and cry every time I see them. I do actually. A little part of me dies inside because of just how awful they look. They're actually in a bottle.
You got me really nervous because I bought some on some sale on eBay years ago. Well, not years ago, probably about a year and a half ago. And I'm going to use them as some desert troops, and I'm really nervous about what they look like. And I just don't want to get the box open and have a look. It's scaring me.
Can I ask you guys something? We kind of touched on it last week, but I don't want to get into like a hate kind of thing. So I don't. But do you feel like there's a lot of more negativity getting levelled at Warlord than recently?
Yes.
Like, it just every time I hear people talk about Warlords at the moment, like obviously set aside the British, but just generally, it just seems to be a lot of negativity. And I was just wondering, like, I mean, they're just. I know Ken, when you had your a bit of a rant last week, which is fine, but I don't want to get into that. But it's like, it just seems to. I don't know if I've just ever since last week, I just noticed loads of other videos and content and articles. It just seemed to be slamming them. And I was like, I mean, are they doing anything apart from the resin? Are they doing anything particularly different from what they've been doing? Really?
I saw a snarky comment.
Go on, Steve.
There was a snarky comment left on. It might have been the Bolt Action group, and someone just said, "Warlord, they're only interested in making planes and ships these days," which I thought was grossly unfair. They've released a lot of games over a very, very short period of time. And they can only concentrate on what they can at that time. So Victory at Sea, it's their latest, their latest big release. So they're going to be concentrating a lot on that. But to turn around and just say that they're only interested in making ships and planes, I think was a bit disingenuous as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I think they've got to that size, haven't they? They've got to that size.
Exactly. That's the problem. I think we did touch on this last. Sorry, carry on, Ken.
I've said it now.
You've not mentioned the GW, have you?
They've got a really high release cycle, haven't they? Like Games Workshop do this, and it's this, and it's this, and it's this, and it's this. They're not slowing down. They're just quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. They put something else out this month, put another game system out, and then another game system. Instead of like I can see what people are saying. Like, instead of giving some of their old kits and lots of things like that, or, you know, they are releasing a lot of new game systems, and I can understand that sometimes people get frustrated about that because they're like, well, that doesn't entertain me, that doesn't entertain me, that doesn't entertain me, that doesn't entertain me, but that does. Is the one thing. It's like we weren't really cut out for that World War II victory at sea, were we? None of us are really majorly interesting to the basics, which are weird to say with you, Steve, not mentioned, but even you agree. But like certain things, like I was interested in the Black Seas, and they did loads of stuff for where they brought out the thing. But has there been many more releases in the last couple of months?
I think it generally starts when, well, from what I normally see, is when people are discussing latest plastic kits for bolt action.
Yeah.
And I think there's certain nations we're never gonna see in plastic ever, and so to keep harping on about it, it's a moot point as far as I'm concerned. But no, I just think cut them some slack. They're a great company. They're releasing a lot of games. So yeah, I just think it's very unfair. That's just my two penneth worth.
Oh, at the same time, you can understand. See, I'm playing devil's advocate. They're a changing company, aren't they? They're getting bigger. They're like one of the biggest historical companies, aren't they?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they have rule sets as well. They're probably the bit. I would say they're probably the bit because they have their own rule sets. Like the Perrys don't have their rule set. They've got that little one that's in the ACW box. They sell other people's rule sets. Not very many other companies sell rule sets supported by a range of miniatures.
Well, Games Workshop, and you've got Kings of War that's Mantic doing. But again, Mantic have kept it very niche to their sort of like stuff that haven't really gone crazy like Warlords have, you know.
I mean, on that scale, because there's lots of games supported by miniature ranges, but on that scale, like bolt action, you know.
Yeah, look at the size of it; it's massive.
I think
47. We never even talk about 7.
I think the nature of any business like that, you know, they get to a certain size and they have to keep making money. They have to keep making profits, and
stay relevant.
And so and they have to keep reinventing themselves. And the simple fact is that most gamers, particularly historical gamers, I think, come from the sort of almost like the cottage industry. We love the idea of the Perrys and the Dave from Offensive Miniatures kind of guys who just sort of love doing they're passionate about doing something, and almost the money is almost inconsequential. And when it gets beyond that, I think people get really almost offended that it's become a business now. But you know, it's like any other business. You've got to keep interesting people to buy more product. Otherwise, you won't continue. Let alone if you list on the stock market like our friends at GW. You know, they've got a need to show shareholder value, and they've
got a fair off that, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, and I think Warlords get a bit of a bad press, and some people who won't be named on the chat here, you know, constantly say, oh, they're just, you know, GW in you know, basically it's the same group, and so they get a lot of abuse for that. But I do think, you know, at the end of the day, like you say, they're constantly trying to launch new games. They're trying to get people interested in new product because they know that's the way that they'll drive new profits and keep the business growing. You know, it's not just them. They've got hundreds of employees probably and thousands of supply line people, you know, involved in, you know, producing figures for them, shipping them and all that kind of stuff. And you know, they have a business to run, and at the end of the day, if they still produce quality figures, my bugbear is if, you know, things like that resin stuff that comes through and it's just not very, you know, doesn't seem very good. If they're just pushing that through because onto the unexpected, you know, people who just don't know better, that's not good. However, if they improve it and it becomes quite good stuff, then fine. But I just, you know, at the end of the day, they're a business. Get over yourselves. They've got to make money. Otherwise, they'll die. And where would we be if they died? Really? That's my humble opinion.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. That's perfect. It's like with their new technologies and stuff like that, resin. If, you know, obviously they've got to gauge what they think about in Warlords, but sometimes I think maybe you could send like one of their models out to like a reviewer, you know. Well, you can imagine that, like, you can imagine Absent Perry and Michael Perry maybe, because they're good mates with John Salah, don't they? So,
yeah.
You know, they might have had it, like, say, yeah, that's all right. You know, you just don't know what goes on behind the scenes, do you?
No.
Do you know, and also, I judge them by things like their customer support. You know, how many times have you had a problem with a Warlord product? You know, I bought at a show last year sometime, must have been, last year, because there's been nothing this year. I bought a truck with a multi-gun on it at the show. And when I got home, unpacked it, and the gun was missing. Just the truck was there. And I contacted their customer care, and I said, look, I bought this kit at this show. It was actually our club show. And here's the receipt. But when I opened it, this gun was missing, and the guy literally said, "Oh, I'm really sorry." No hint of, you know, I could have been anybody, you know, playing it on or anything. He just said, "Right, I'll send you," and it was there 2 days later in the post. Poor guy sent the wrong one, so I said, "Thanks for sending it. I'll send it back to you, but you sent the wrong one." He said, "Oh, don't worry, just keep that one," and sent me another one. And it's like, it doesn't happen very often, but they fixed the problem really well, and that to me is a good company, right?
Yeah.
So, irrespective of everything else.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, Liam was missing a bit that went underneath the resin bottle on a BA Armour 6 car. So you didn't see it, but he was missing it. So he just asked for it. He was going to paint it. They sent him a whole other armour car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually similar with
for armour car as well.
I was missing the windscreen bit for my SAS Jeep, but they just sent me a whole nother Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't say they're a money-grabbing bastards if they do that kind of stuff. I think, you know, they're.
I was going to say, having spent, you know, a quarter of my life working in complaints, you never hear any complaints about Warlord Games customer service. And I think it's one thing that companies across every sector you can think of is they get the basics wrong when it comes to issues with complaints. If you like Dom said, they solved that straight away at the very start of the issue. They didn't quibble, they didn't doubt, they didn't. It was just, oh right, we've made a mistake, let's get this fixed. And they've retained a customer. That goes a long way in retaining one customer. Word of mouth of how they dealt with that issue will get passed on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's all good publicity, isn't it? Good and good things. And the same I can gather with any of the smaller retailers. Like you've got backers, don't you? You've got your 6 mil stuff. Keep banging on about 6 mil because big up the 6 mil, you know. You know, he does a lot of ranges. He does like Napoleon, he does Ancients, he does World War II, he does loads of stuff for 6 mil. These ranges are going to keep expanding, I gather, but you're never going to. I don't think you're ever going to see him going to make 6 mil air stuff. But you know what you're getting? It's a small business, independent business, isn't it? With Warlord, it is a very big company.
Yeah.
And they've got, like you say, they want to get new people hooked into that plastic crack, because once they start playing Black Sea, they're going to go, oh, what's this bolt action game all about then? I like Second World War. And then they're going to get on that. And then they're going to be like me and go, oh, what's this Napoleonic Black Powder game? I like that.
And they've got you.
A bit of that. And then you get to the point that you like Ancients, and then you start playing Ancients.
Yeah.
What gateway drug can we put to you today? Pretty much, isn't it? What is your poison? Do you like this? You like that? You like this? Guess what? In about 5 years' time, you're going to have everything we sell.
Yeah.
I never thought I would like to be honest. Guess what? I'm banging to it now.
No, I think any kind of company like that is just, you know, and again, it's the curse of the internet age, isn't it? That you know, for every one person that, you know, that wants to moan about it, you know, there's probably about 20 that just don't bother, that are actually quite happy but just don't say anything, and it's Yeah, some people just don't like these big companies, and I get that, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, they're a business. They're doing some really interesting stuff. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. There's plenty of other options out there. That's the thing. You don't have to buy from them.
Oh, there's loads of more independents, isn't there?
Yeah.
Absolutely loads. There's loads out there. They're all really good. There's no reason you have to go to Warlords.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, customer service is key because I like you guys know in a minute, I still without my graphics card, Still without my graphics. Right, and the customer service I've got is absolutely horrendous. It's been like 8 weeks now. And basically I was lied to from day 2, my thing, because I was told my card would be dispatched on the 21st of September. We're now what, November?
Yeah.
But card intended in stock, but apparently no, I actually bought a pre-order card instead. It turned into a bit of a nightmare. There's like 500-600 people, had to threaten this company, I'm not going to name the company, but with GDPR request for them to actually give us our positions in the queue that we were in, to know where we were. And I'll tell you what, you wouldn't have to do that at Warlords, I'll tell you that much.
I just think there's enough companies out there that are really worth being if companies that defraud you or lie, do something to abuse your trust in a real tangible way, like steal your money and not give you the product you purchased, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, Warlords are not doing anything like that. People are just unhappy because it's not doing what they want them to do. And that's ultimately the problem. And I think maybe they get some things wrong, but hey, every company gets things wrong from time to time.
No, I don't agree with what they've done recently, Don. I don't know what you feel like this, but I really don't feel, this is only a personal moral thing, but I really don't feel they should have ever offered credit for plastic.
No, I agree with that.
They're offering credit for it.
But that's Ken, that's a PayPal thing, isn't it? I think you can do that now with anything on PayPal. You can.
PayPal, but they're actually offering credit for a third party.
Yeah. I think that's dangerous. I agree with you. There.
Yeah, I don't think morally I think it's right. It's obviously it's not. I hate to say it, but it's not a very expensive hobby compared to some. Some people might find it very expensive, and I apologise if I offend some of it, but like compared to say I wanted to go and do like fishing and things like that, that costs a lot of money to set on the outset. Or you do skiing or something, it costs a lot of money. But you can get a box of 20 minis for 20 quid. You shouldn't need to go and get it a couple of $100 of credit, would you really?
No, I agree. I agree. I think that's a slippery slope, that one.
It's a hobby. A hobby shouldn't put you anywhere where you're near financial peril.
No.
It's escapism. It shouldn't encroach onto how you run your real daily life.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I saw they've stopped doing going to be stopped doing the extra special figure that they give away with the different supplements.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Now you're only gonna get them if you order over a certain amount, a bit like Footsore do, or they have a monthly figure giveaway if you spend over a certain amount. I think Warlords are going to do the same. I thought it was interesting.
Oh, right. Yeah. Don't really bother me. Maybe they're casting too many, or they run out of cast on the bowl and they want to keep it as much as possible. It never really bothered me, those special edition minis, to be honest with you. I never went directly to Warlords just to get that special edition. Old North Star, they're giant miniatures, the ones that they do those limited edition 500.
Yeah.
Then crap. I'd rather go for those, You know there's only 500 of them. And then they break the mold, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're odd models, aren't they? I don't know many of them that you can actually include into the the game. You know, I think I'm trying to think any of them I've used. Yeah.
No, I've got one. I've got the Australian medic Bull Allen. He can be used. There are rules for him in the Papua New Guinea book, so there are rules for him in there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and actually, I did use the dwarf royalist cavalry commander in my English Civil War army as well. Yeah, so there are a couple I've used in the past. Mind you, I have to say I buy a lot of those books now through third parties. So I'll buy them like Goblin Games. I always buy my stuff there because you get 20% off, and they're much quicker at delivering than anybody else. But the trouble is they don't have the figure. So if you buy the book from them, or Amazon, I buy a lot of the new campaign books from Amazon because they're cheaper.
All my campaign books I get on Kindle. I have the digital version of the campaign books because I just like to have them in one place, and they're just easy to use. So.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, Battle Knight says Perry do the same thing when you buy 3 or more boxes of the same or something. Like the credit. Is that the credit thing? I don't know. Didn't know that.
No, the deal, you get like a free model. My Wars of Roses opponent just ran. If you go on Perry's website, on the Wars of Roses tab, there's a model holding a crown. And I've looked through all their packs, so I really want that model, and you don't sell them. And my friend just ordered 3 packs, and they just chucked it in with it. He didn't know that it was coming. So yeah, they'll occasionally, if you buy like 3 packs of heavy cavalry, you might get like a commander or stuff like that.
Yeah, actually that's true. I did the same. So I bought some when doing my cleaves. I bought some, and they gave me some commander or a couple of commanders, I think, for free, which was nice. Yeah.
I'm hoping I get the basic comp. Oh God, I really want that. Really want that. Come on, Lamar. You're watching the stream. Buy me everything that I've asked for, please. My fair, remember
that. Oh, Ken. Oh, Ken. You're getting old. She's got to let you back in the house yet before you're allowed any presents.
Yeah. I've been a good boy this year. Been a good boy, I hope.
So, what was I going to say? There was another question I was going to ask people. Oh yeah, so my question. I was saying to the guys earlier when I was editing some video today, in between various boring calls I was supposed to be on. I was watching back a game I played a few weeks ago at my club, and I realised I was getting really grumpy in it. And I was listening to myself and thinking, you grumpy old git. And I genuinely, I mean, you played me a couple of times, Ken. I don't get that grumpy normally in games, do I? When we played, I don't get that grumpy.
Tell the truth, Ken.
It does.
Say again? just hating your abuse is not grumpiness.
10 minutes.
Anyway, I'll carry on with this one. So yeah, so I realised that I was getting grumpy, and then I realised a couple of other times I've done it in the past, and I thought it's when there's a couple of guys down the club who I love dearly. They're great fun to play against individually, but when they play against me, they just wind me up and they just get me really grumpy. I've realised they just have this ability, the pair of them. And, I say individually I play them all the time and it's great fun. I'm not going to name names, but one of them was on here earlier. I don't know where it still is. And it just makes me laugh. And I look back at it and I thought, you grumpy old git. Does that happen to you? Is there people that just wind you up, that just get you...
Yeah.
Get your timbers going?
Yeah. Yeah. He's basically a nasty git. He just plays Stones all the bloody time. Drives me insane. So glad I'm not at the face of bloody lucky in a while.
Do you know what used to get me when I was into the X-Wing tournament scene? Yeah, it was a serious competition, but I didn't like playing against people who didn't smile while they were playing.
Oh right.
I played against a couple of people that were just so There wasn't even focus, because you can be focused and still be affable with someone. But these people who were just, and it was a handful of people over the years that we played. Just constant, just looking angry while they were playing. I couldn't play like that. I couldn't play. If I'm in a bad mood while I'm playing, I just couldn't. I couldn't take it. I really couldn't. But some of these people were properly. Yeah. You had to concentrate, and it was a very detailed game. But there's no excuse for not being a nice chap.
No. They're the sort of people, see, when you're like, they're looking at everything you do and critiquing every little thing to try and get that little advantage. They're like, no, you can't do that. No, you go to do something, or you can't do that. That's the sort of person you mean, yeah? Especially because X-Wing, there was so much precision in it.
Yeah.
I mean, millimeters counted in that game. And I mean, I didn't mind. I mean, it was tournament play. You're playing the rules. It's a serious game, but I mean, try and have some fun with it as well. I mean, it's Star Wars. I mean, it's just one of those things. But no, that's the only real gripe I've had about, because I am not a competitive player at the end of the day. Win, lose or draw, as long as my opponent and myself have a good time, I couldn't give a flying fudge about what the result is.
Yeah, what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Graham's on the. I'll call him out here because he's on the chat and he's laughing because I'm talking about him, and it's funny because, and as I said, I love playing with Graham. He's a brilliant player and he's very competitive, but in a really friendly way. And we have some cracking games. We played a game last week which I put up on the channel at the weekend, Sharp Practice, which was an absolute real joy to play. Loved every minute of it, and it was tough and it was competitive, but we had a laugh playing it. But there is something about when him and Jonathan team up against me that just every time, and I was looking back at another game we played a few weeks ago, and I could hear myself getting, when you can hear your own tone of your voice and you're thinking, you're getting really narked about this, and I'm thinking, it's a fucking game, and I love these guys to bits, and I love playing with them. They're great fun. And somebody said here, it's sibling rivalry. It's almost like sibling rivalry when someone just winds you up. And it's true. And the thing is, they know it's true, and they do it all the more. And I guess I'm kind of guilty of it as well from time to time. But it just makes me laugh. It really does. But I get you what you're saying about tournament players.
Last week when we were talking about when I used to play 40k, I'm convinced that we all quit playing 2nd edition because if we'd have carried on playing, we'd have all killed each other. Because those games descended into absolute grudge match hatred. It just they weren't games. They were like I don't know. It was like it descended into that scene from the Deer Hunter, another Russian roulette game. That's what it became like. It was that type of game. No one walked away happy at all. So I think it was generally good for our health and safety that we stopped playing 2nd Ed 40k, because we started off really well and then everyone just developed grudges against each other and each other's armies, and it just wasn't pleasant to play at all. So yeah, that's another example of the type of gamer that I don't really like.
I've had that happen to me, Steve, like when I played Elder, because I had so much magic. So much magic. Liam would just be like, here he goes, magic section, all for the Elder. You can hear it in his voice, it's all about that. But then I do the same when he was talking to cats. They're like Black Templars. He could just come with his chainsaws and go, I'm going to just freaking slaughter you now, here you go. Maybe you can do exactly the same back to him. And it just so happens that it is funny.
But I love all that banter that goes around the table. It's so much fun. But it's just sometimes it just, don't know.
Who doesn't get invited?
I don't. I think I said it before. It was back when I was playing fantasy and 40k. People would just wind me up with their. I take my turn and I try to be quite friendly and I don't care if someone pushes their model a few inches forward, and then they take their so I take my turn. All of a sudden, it becomes an issue. That point, it winds me up chronically because we're playing games with toy soldiers because we've got nothing better to do, and like I've walked away from games before because I've been wound up.
Really?
Yeah, I can think of when we used to play first edition Malifaux, which was a great game when it came out. I really enjoyed it. And then there was a bit of a power creep. And the way the game works, if you haven't played it, you have a deck of cards and you draw cards. And if you pull a particular suit, you might trigger, for example, a critical hit if you've got that ability. So if you pull like a ram's head. But it became very much like, okay, I'm going to trigger this. Well, you've triggered my trigger by triggering that, which triggers my defense trigger, which triggers this model over here, which triggers this. And you're like, what did you want to do? So I want to climb up this wall. And I'd get so wound up because my friend had this faction that was all about triggering off of what you were doing. That it's like, is there any point in me? Because then he'd have his turn. And I can't do anything, so he would basically be acting all in my turn. So every time he said he was going to take them, I went, yeah, okay, I concede. Can we now play a game, a fun game, where I could like bought and painted all these models, and I'm not actually going to get to use them. So that was one. I have a tendency, if there's people I don't like playing against, I just don't play them because it's not good for my mental health.
No, I'm the same. Yeah. I mean, luckily, I only really have the one gaming opponent, and we've known each other for years, and we just enjoy when we play bolt action. But I think if I went to a tournament, I'd be very much on guard against people. Because I think it's the whole aspect of you sometimes, you know, competition does weird things to people's brains and personalities.
It's true.
And you know, the most normal, nicest, affable person can become just a complete nightmare when it comes to winning. Like Martin said, winning a game of toy soldiers.
Yeah.
It's very true.
We all get those situations, though, don't we? We all get salty when sometimes, don't we? We all get salty. Let's not lie about it. But do you find, because Dom and Martin are both salty, and you've both experienced, so when say on a challenge or something, and I'll say you can do that on a roll of a 4+, what do you guys think of that? So I haven't said no, but I'll turn around and say, yeah, you can, or you forget to do something, and I say roll a 4+. It's an advantage for me to do not doing it, but I'll still give you the option to get it off. Do you think that's a fair thing?
Did you say that to me? I don't remember you saying that to me.
Yeah. When you did, when you wanted to move your infantry into, your second battalion, you forgot to move it into the house.
Oh, right. I was probably being polite. I don't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if that's kind of like what we'd say, and then that would be sort of like our unwritten. Yeah, you know, you'd have like an unwritten rule. That's what you'd do. I would do it in kind. So like if you then, so someone denied me something and then they turned around later and tried to go and, you know, piss off. You've just done it. You've just done exactly the same to me. I would say that because I'm quite happy for people if they've forgotten something to go back and like you know unless it means like moving a unit across the board. If it's like, oh yeah, this model heals 1 wound at the end of the phase and I'm halfway through your turn, that doesn't bother me because it would have automatically happened anyway. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. If somebody
that's why I forgot to move the unit completely. And it's quite
then no, I'd say if you forgot to move the unit completely and it was actually going to be game changing, then I'd say probably, well, no, that's the point of being a general, is like remembering to do it. If it was like moving into a building where that wasn't at that point probably vital, I can't remember.
Moving your general at the end of the turn, you'd forgotten to move it earlier in the turn, that sort of thing.
That doesn't bother me because he can move. There's no test to roll to move your general. You can move him; it's automatic. You don't have to do anything. So moving in later doesn't really make a difference.
I'm glad you said that. You can have the job now. Come on. We were rolling to move your general, weren't we?
We were. Yeah.
Or is that a your rule, Martin?
No, you don't have to roll to move your general. Any of your commanders. In Black Powder?
I thought you do, because it's still a command roll, isn't it?
Brigade.
Oh, if they move with the brigade, but if your brigade order fails, or you're moving it separately. It has to move separately, doesn't it?
No, they just move automatically. They move 12 inches on foot and 24 inches on horse.
Oh, there we go. There we go, Ken. So we were doing. I was doing that wrong. So there you go.
I really hope that. I'll double check. I really hope, because otherwise I'm buggered, because I can't roll so badly. They're not going to go either. They're not.
See,
they won't even make it.
Martin, what you just said. That's if there's any point in a game I'm going to get a bit annoyed. It's bad dice rolling, because I've got no control over it. If I make a genuine tactical mistake, I can put that down to me being a bit thick. But when I'm consistently rolling bad, I think there's some kind of global conspiracy against me to stop me from rolling decent dice. And I've actually changed dice halfway through a match because I'm convinced they're cursed.
Oh, I do that all the time, mate. I do that all the time. In fact, don't let Ken use your dice, because he always bloody does well with your own dice. It drives me insane.
Yeah. Well, I did it with Dom last time, right? I was convinced that Dom was rolling loaded dice, because he was rolling so many sixes, really high rolls. They're fucking loaded. They are loaded dice.
They were.
The amount of sixes, I was convinced that Dom was rolling loaded dice. So much the fact is I wanted to pick them up when it was my duty set and roll those.
And you picked them up and you didn't manage to roll any sixes, did you?
No.
There's a little button you have to press, Ken. I'll show you the technique one time.
Oh, bugger. Yeah.
I just think that once I've done that, I always feel ridiculously stupid, because just dice. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know. Well, that's probably the only part of gaming, and it's only really bolt action, because I roll really abysmally bad in bolt action sometimes. I either have good or bad, but occasionally I have shit games of bolt action where there's just everything. It's just the worst rolls you can think of. I think that one of the last games we played, I failed three order tests in a row with veteran Marines. I mean, how does that even happen?
Well, Tom knows about failing order tests to get
I do it all the time. Do you know, so one of the things that frustrates the hell out of me, and I'll be very honest about it, with black powder particularly, is that this sort of chop and change between when a high is a good roll and when high is a bad roll in a game. That drives me insane, because I like to know that I'm going to have to roll, this set of dice is always going to be, because I'll have, you saying, Steve, I'll have favourite dice that I know that these ones, if I need to roll low, these are the dice. Of course, they're the same frigging chance, but it just works in my head that these little white dice always roll low, so I'm going to roll them. And then when I want to roll high, I'll get out the Canadian dice, because they always roll high. And it's just that weird thing that goes on in my mind. So something like bolt action completely screws my mind, because 1 minute you're needing to throw low, not bolted, black powder. Next thing you're having to roll low again, high again, and it completely throws me, because I can't. And of course, it makes no sense at all, because it's like when someone doesn't tell you what you need to roll, or you I've been in games where the opponent just rolls the dice, and I go, how can you roll the dice without knowing what it is you needed? But of course it makes not a blind bit of difference, but it's that fact of rolling, I need to roll 6, therefore I'm going to roll it. It's like, rather than just rolling it, oh, it's a 6, now let's check. That's just wrong. It's just wrong.
Reminds me, there's a really funny video on Lindy Beig's channel where he talks about, because he does a lot of role playing, and he talks about the person that won't roll the dice till they know exactly what it is they need to roll. Yeah. And he's like, roll the dice and we'll work out whether you failed or not. I'm like, no, I need to know, what figure I need to roll.
I would be that person, Steve. I am that person. I am that person. I can't do it. It's just like, tell me what I need to roll, then I will roll.
I just thought of something that does wind me up, actually. And that's games where you say, a bit like Dead Man's Hand, if you have to declare all your actions before you execute them. And if people don't do it, so someone goes, so in like Dead Man's Hand, for example, you say, I'm going to move, aim, shoot, or move, shoot, move. And you're meant to say, I'm going to move to here, shoot, and then I'm going to move. And people will do this. They start moving them because the thing is, it's part of the mechanic of the game. You then have to see it through. So people will go, I'm going to move to here, then I'm going to go to here, and you're like, I sit there and I generally never say anything because I'm like I'm being too, or maybe I'm just being a bit of an arse. I'm being too picky. But then you'll be like, no, they've just completely avoided my guy who's sitting up there, and they've done it. And then you'll go to do it, and then they call you out on it. That's what.
It's like I used to have a very good mate. Well, I still got him. I don't see him very often, but a very good mate of mine, and we used to wargame all the time. And we used to have this thing about saying anything but one. And it was, you know, when you're rolling a 6-sided dice and it was perfect result, it was going to work for you unless you rolled a 1. And then we'd always say anything but 1. And it became just like this, do not say it. So then, of course, you have to say it because you're going to wind the other person up. So there's all these sort of weird things that go on in you.
You used to do it to me, right? I've done it to you as well, Martin. I'm really sorry because I really wanted to win the game. But you'll remember...
You didn't, though, did you? It didn't matter.
Remember, I did. I said it to him because I really wanted to. Liam always used to go, "You're going to fail that one."
Yeah.
Before I roll.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Mind you, it doesn't. Bruce, Brush and Quill is in the house. Evening, mate. He said a guy tried to break my mate's hand at a tournament once. That's an escalation.
Oh my god.
That is an escalation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's going a little bit too far, isn't it? Yeah. Blimey. And
yeah, at what point? At what point do you decide to break someone's hand, though? I mean,
is it when they're reaching for the dice and you just go over and do an Arnold sort of break the hand? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't get how a game could reach you to the point of drive you to so much anger that you've got to physically assault your opponent.
Jesus. That is taking it a little bit too far. That is...
He didn't think that through. If he got arrested, then all his fucking models would get left at the tournament and they just go walking. Didn't think of that, did he?
Yeah, but in life there are plenty of divs out there that don't think twice about these sort of things, do they? Yeah, Battle Knight said he quit a tournament because of... he said he quit a tournament. I remember playing a shaven gun line with my balanced army, and I only got 2 turns as he stalled so much to win the points. Yeah, that kind of stuff is just... Yeah. Anyway, yeah, enough of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's weird. It is weird. Mind you, I know that kind of stuff is... So it's a fine line, isn't it? That sort of stuff that where you're just winding people up or just being... just sort of... Yeah, just deliberately winding people up is part of the fun thing, but sometimes when it goes a bit too far, it does get a bit frustrating, doesn't it? That's what I found. I do apologise to Graham and to Jonathan in that particular game, and I think he remembers which one it was. Where
I don't apologise to your mind.
What's that?
I said I don't apologise to you or mine.
Oh, you were fine.
Doesn't bother me.
You were fine, Ken. I didn't. And to answer your question about dicing,
he got me back with kebab. That's what he got me back with. God.
And I won.
Yeah, and you won. Yeah.
You tried to annoy me, and you still lost.
Yeah, I know. I think.
Nah, it was a good game. It was a great game. That kind of stuff doesn't wind me up. I'm quite fortunate that the people who I game with, we're all very sort of casual, and also like if we get a rule wrong and we realise it's wrong, but we've done it a lot, we just carry on playing with the wrong rule for the rest of the game, and then just keep it even till the end.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do, isn't it?
Kill, and it's all about. It's not about being serious, it's about chilling out, just having a good time, innit? Having a beer and relaxing.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, as you said many times, it's playing with toy soldiers on a table in a hall or a garage or a living room or something. It's not life, right? It's supposed to be having fun.
Exactly.
I don't know.
No, it's good. It's good.
I'll tell you what. I know. Yeah, yeah. It's a weird old thing. I was going to say. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Something I spotted the other day, which I thought was interesting as well. I don't know whether anyone else saw it. The oh god, who's it? Oh, Victrix. They just launched some Persian foot archers, which I thought they looked really cool as well. If anybody saw them, Victrix. Really interesting figures. I'm a bit disappointed because I was hoping it was going to be the Bavarian. Bavarian Napoleonics were going to come out next, but haven't appeared yet. It's frustrating. But I have to say, what about anybody doing anything special for the next lockdown? Sorry, Ste, I know you're still on the first one, but is there any kind of projects you got planned now you can't get any gaming and get on with stuff?
I'm going to try and get our game that we've been trying to have for 2 weeks. Me and Haley have been trying to have a game. We're going to try and actually have that game. So, and then when I've lost that, I'm going to start painting up my my English Civil War. After doing the Ancients for a month solid, I'm going to do a month of just painting whatever the hell I want.
Right.
Just doing a complete mix of terrain, Lord of the Rings, English Civil War. Which I'm really looking forward to doing. Actually, I've done my test models and I'm finishing off the one Carthaginian unit I didn't finish. So a bit more, I don't know, variety this month. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Oh no, I'm hoping we can actually get some games of Black Powder or something done on Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
no, that would be good.
I just say, I've made a fence. I've made a broken fence tonight, and I'm really chuffed with how it looks.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty cool too.
Cool.
Like it.
That's made from three bits of sprue, and it's from I think you use it in the garden to put over like walls for stuff to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit of plastic glued to some broken sprue. I'm quite chuffed for that. Oh, that size base is for one figure.
Oh my Christ!
Oh my God! What's that going to be?
It's a base for the spotter for my mortar team.
Of course, it's a friggin' spotter. Of course, it is. What else would it be on a base that size?
And then.
Oh, Jesus.
There's this one. This is I've been using a bit of Games Workshop scenery for this. This is going to be for my forward observation team.
Awesome.
There we go, like so. Ta-da!
Steve, I got a question for you, mate. So, in the last battle I played last week with my mate Graham down at the club, we played an entire battle where we forgot about a couple of hills. We just didn't see them on the table. Are you going to get to the point where you never know where your bases start and where the terrain finishes on your tables with these super bases of yours?
So you know that with these are for display purposes only. We've got my local group's running an armies on parade sort of bolt action competition. I'm doing is I'm basing all my things and then putting all my big bases on an even bigger base. So that's why they're really getting out of control. This is the one this is my latest video that I've just done. This is my my mortar team. I actually made that using those cork things you put hot pans on.
Yeah.
When you can't put it on a surface. That's what I used. I used one of those to make a mortar pit with.
Very neat.
That's cool, man.
I just love it. I would love to see one of your battle scenes set up with all those scenery pieces on the table. It'll just be amazing. You won't be able to see any figures.
Do you know what? Actually, really, yeah. Do you know what, Steve? I think you've inspired me. This was going to be, a piece of terrain, right? But I've got a hobbit here that needs a base. So maybe if I just start giving here, yeah.
I love it. Hey, Martin, it's not big enough, mate. It's not big enough.
I know. I need more trees around it or something.
At least the trying to come over to my camp, fucking tanks on basis. Jesus Christ.
Oh my
God. We're gonna have tanks on a 6x4 next. Can you find the tiger?
Unbelievable.
Oh, dear.
I have to say,
Full vacancy. If you don't win that competition, I'll tell you what,
I've been wanting to do something a bit special for a while. I'm really enjoying working on these Stalingrad Germans, making them look how I wanted them to look when I first started painting them. But I just love making these bases. It's just something I just enjoy doing. I mean, yeah, like I said, that when you've got one figure displayed on a base that big, I think things are getting out of control a bit.
Do you think?
Just a bit.
You ever thought about doing commissions for bases?
No, I don't. I think the idea of commission work is I couldn't get once I've made it, I couldn't give it away, even if I got money for it. If I've made or painted that it's mine. I want to keep it.
Oh.
Yeah. Ken, you're gonna have to make your own, mate. Sorry.
Never met someone that's
it's something of all. If I've made something or painted something, I don't know. I would just find it very difficult to part with. I mean, mate's asked me to paint his 10mm Union Army, and I think the idea of painting someone else's figures, I couldn't do it. Just me. Maybe I don't know. I have many strange wargaming quirks, and that's one of them.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, you don't sell figures, do you? I wanted that 36-man battalion off yet. No.
No, don't give away figures.
No.
Rebate them for sharp practice, though, can you?
I might do that. I might do that. But yeah, sharp practice. That's all next year. This year I want all my bolt action. So I want to finish this and then finish my French as well. And then get round to getting some trucks for my SAS Desert Raiders, and then I think that's all my bolt action armies will be finished more or less, which is kind of scary.
Wait, no, that's cool. Oh, that's very cool.
I've got a hankering to get back to do some bolt action. I must do another army.
Yeah,
really must. I've got my winter Germans to do.
It's always Germans to do. Always Germans.
Oh, I've got.
There's always Germans.
Hundreds up there, but I'd like to do a winter one. I'm inspired by Martin's, snow habit, shall we say, to do something like that, and by Steve's basing, I'm going to do. I'm gonna have a go at that, I think. Oh, jeez. Jesus. Unbelievable. So,
this is not a chance for this podcast,
oh my lord.
Dear. Just before we go, has anyone else got anything? We've got about 5 minutes. Has anyone got anything in their chat they want to shout out?
Well, Dom's the only one with a chat.
Oh yeah, it's true. I better read through it. Oh my god, there's so many people here, it's ridiculous. I can't talk to them all. Yeah, lots of chat about why people quit games. Brush and Quill says he just noticed Martin and Dom's tops. Yeah, we're wearing ours. The other two left theirs at home for some reason. But yeah, this was.
I completely forgot. It wasn't until like 10 minutes into the stream I realised I wasn't wearing my. I'm actually wearing a Clockwork Orange T-shirt, which is kind of really quite disturbing, to be fair. So no, it will be back on show next week.
This was to commemorate our 30th edition of the podcast. That's what it was for. Celebrate that, and Ken gets a bye because he's supposedly working. Although what he does sitting in a lay-by in the middle of nowhere, I have no idea, but I don't really want to know, frankly. So yeah, that's where that comes from.
Keeping the country running. Keeping the country running.
Is that what it is, mate? Good on you. Good on you. I would say Brush and Quill, his mate who got his broken hand, was at the end of the game. Was the end of the game handshake after he'd called him a cheat. Okay, all right. Oh Jesus. Graham's causing great hilarity with the fact that I was admitting to my failings, and also pointing the fact that we missed those hills in that last battle completely. We did. I don't know how we did that. How can you play an entire game? The focal point of the game was in this particular area of the battlefield where there were 2 hills, and we both completely ignored them. And it wasn't until we could be shooting over them for about 10. I don't know, no, probably not 10 rounds, about 5 rounds where he went, there's a hill there. And I went, oh, yeah, so there is. We shouldn't have been able to shoot each other. Oh, well, never mind. Yeah, lot of talk. Battle Knights got very excited about the snow habit. No wonder he can afford the new 100 Years War stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to start that rumour. I'm not going to start that rumour, Jason, but it's quite right. That's where that problem comes from. Hey-ho.
I'm just saying, it looks like Ken could get quite a lot of basing material from where he is if you look behind him.
Yeah. Basing material and a lot of very green clump foliage as well.
Said in the conversation, oh, mine. I said it to you, didn't I? I'm still in the same place, mate, as yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's. Do you not feel quite sort of vulnerable?
It's, the door's a lot.
That's probably good. That's probably good. That did make me laugh. That kind of made my day because I was having a bit of a crappy day trying to sort out what's going to happen because of the lockdown. So that made me laugh. So.
Bad. Very glad. But no, we're going to definitely get some black powder in anyway. Try and get some done on the old, whatchamacallit, that's the word I'm looking for.
Tabletop.
I'd love also to try and if I can get my internet to work in the bunker, I might even do a proper tabletop game of something where it can just move both sides. That might be quite fun to do as well.
I know how you can do it, but it's going to involve drilling.
No, I think I've got a plan. I've got a plan, mate. I don't know whether it'll work, but I've got a plan. Depends how long the lockdown carries on.
Very long.
Yeah, I think it involves sort of getting Imogen to relay messages, probably. No, I don't know.
Might have that game of Black Panther. That's easy now.
Yeah, it'd be fun to do it. What else is people saying here? Yeah, Leslie's saying, well, lockdown, a lot more hobbying will be confined until December. Yeah, if we're lucky, mate. If we're lucky, we might get out in December. Brush and Quill says he's not been allowed out since March. Oh, my God. Can you imagine that? I couldn't imagine that.
Right.
I have to say, I feel very grateful that... Well, Steve, you've been locked down since about then, haven't you? March.
Yeah, but like I said before, I'm an antisocial git that is saving the country by not hanging around with anyone. Win-win for me.
Yeah, I'd forgotten. Steve's the only person that's actually looking forward to more lockdown, just because he doesn't have to talk to anybody.
Oh yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Well, it's 1 o'clock, so I think that end this episode. So,
yes, it is 10 o'clock.
Normal show. On my channel. Mark will be streaming on it. Sean will be streaming on it. We are, can't we?
Yep, should be around.
Yeah,
well, we're not allowed to go anywhere next week, are we? So we'll all be here.
Yeah.
So we'll see you again next Monday. Take care and bye-bye.
Take care, stay safe, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you now. Bye.